I don't know.
He's got transitions.
I just run everything through my OBS because I'm weird like that.
It's good. I should probably do the same. Then I can have like thirsty but wavy. I've got thirsty but wavy written all over my face on stream now. Anyway,
already thirsted you. Okay. Well, hey, first off, I just want to tell you, hey man, I love you and I appreciate you, and you're allowed to have a bad day.
I'm getting these red. If you can make me cry today if you want.
No, you're allowed to have a bad day, dude. It's okay. I have plenty of them. I think what's important is that we're honest about it.
Yeah.
I think too often, I think so many people deal with problems over and over because of the stigma of not just being able to be honest and say, man, yeah, I'm having a bad day. And somebody going, it's okay to have a bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all you really got to do with that is, hey, you need a hug? You having a bad, and then we move forward. We don't want to dwell in it. We don't want to sit in it. You know what I mean? I don't want to fart and stay in the same room. You know what I mean? I want to get like, let's keep moving through it as best we can. And hopefully we have people around us that love us enough to help us do that. That's what it's about. I heard your conversation about trauma dumping, and, listen, we have to accept what we can accept. I love you take what is I call it the Jesus approach, but it's you leave the 99 for the one. And so it's, if there's one person that's in a moment of crisis that absolutely needs it, it's okay if that alienates some other people that don't need the help right then in order to take care of the person in crisis. You focus on the fire, the house that's burning down, not the other houses that aren't on fire, and everybody's okay. And I think you're right and absolutely spot on about that. So you need to not feel bad about that.
I don't feel bad about it.
Okay, I was just
I don't feel bad about it. It's just it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Okay, it's frustrating because I think you've heard my expression before of collaboration, not competition. And I very much believe that. Like I very much believe that the answer to fixing, for want of a better word, the answer to improving the mental health, I'm going to say the mental health content creator space, because I posted about this yesterday. I posted something saying the only way to basically get work in mental health and to not burn out is to not give a crap, basically. Post your motivational quote and then go on and get on with the day. And someone who does work on a site, she's a psychological researcher, but knows a lot of people that work on psychiatric wards, and was like, there's a lot more to it than just posting things. And I'm like, I was kind of talking about it from a content creator point of view, really, because that's my world. I mean, I do work one-to-one with people as well, but like, I think that, like, there are days where I can compartmentalize better than others. And those when my compartmentalization's there, it's good, because when I take time off, I take time off. And that's the whole thing, is like I'm taking the rest of this week off, and one of the biggies that I know I've got to do this week is I've got to give myself permission for that to be actual time off. Like, I've got to not be in my Discord, I've got to not be like checking social media every single time. I've got to take books, and this is the thing, actually. I used to play Tap Titans on my phone, because I've got a problem with having my phone in my hand all the time. So playing Tap Titans on my phone was kind of like it was a fidget spinner, basically. It kept me on. It meant that, especially in the gym between sets, because 30 seconds to a minute's a really long time to just sit there and do nothing, says the man who teaches mindfulness.
It's so long. It's so long.
Genuinely, today, actually, I was like, because I went to the gym like late morning today, because I didn't get up to do it in my usual time, and I went to the gym to kind of distract myself from some news that we had yesterday, and I wasn't distracted at all, because in the gaps between my sets, I was on my phone, and I don't have any games on there anymore. And I had to get rid of the games because they were getting in the way of actual work. But then social media also gets in the way of actual work as well. And when
social media overlaps with your actual work, it becomes really hard to draw the line.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it's like, I have to respond to this for work. Well, do you? Sometimes you don't need to respond, JD. You know what I mean? Like, I've tried to stay out of, I've seen, you know, here's the thing. Streamer Twitter, and I have a lot of streamers in our community. I'm a member of some very big streamer communities. And I'll tell you, there's just a lot of wrong takes, and I've had a lot of them myself. And the reason is because what works with you what works for you and makes sense in month 1 of streaming, or life, or marriage, or a new job, or running your own business, or in any first month is going to be different than month 3. Is going to be totally different than year 1. Is going to be so different than year 5. If you're doing the same things in year 1 that you were doing in year 5, you're going to be out of business in year 6. It doesn't work that way. You have to constantly be changing, constantly be iterating. You know, it's not a 180-degree change. It's bit by bit, step by step. I call it leveling up, right? Yeah. I don't need you to reach the end game content. I just need you to go. I mean, we're gamers, right? We understand the concept of gaining XP and going to the next level. It's so funny we don't understand that in our mental health, in our emotional well-being, in our finances, in just the way our attitudes work. It's just so funny that it's. And I spent 39 almost and a half years of my life as a very negative person, as a very person who was very pessimistic. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And the change in mindset and mentality that I've undergone has changed my entire world. So I know that it's possible, and I know that it works, and I know that you can teach an old dog new tricks. I know I look like I'm 20. I know I look like I'm 22, but I'm not.
I bet you'd look like you're about 12 if you got rid of that glorious beard.
Oh, dude, if I get rid of the beard, I'll get carded for bubble gum. They'll be like, are you old enough to drive this car, young man? And it's like,
you know what? I love the gamer analogy. I mean, I can probably say a reason as to why we don't do the same with our mental health, because games are beautiful in the way that they ramp up the difficulty. They walk you through step 1, and you've learned all the skills you need by step 100.
Yes.
With our mental health, or even sometimes our physical health, overcoming that inertia from doing nothing to doing something, you start on level 1. It's like a better analogy would be, you know, when on the Need for Speed games, where somehow you start the game with everything you've got, and it's the heart, and there's no way of winning that race, but because you're always going to get pulled over by the cops, and then you're going to go back to 0, and you're going to start again.
Nothing. Yes.
That's what dealing with your mental health and your physical health can be like. Is that you started with a race that you can't win. You're going to go back to level 1 now, because level 1 in mental health is level 100, and then once you've got over that first step, then things get a little bit easier, and then we can start making those incremental gains. But going from 0 to 1, well, it's a step of infinity.
It's physics. This is physics. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. Getting over that first. You know, I look at it like the block when you're like parking a trailer or a truck or a car on an incline, right? And you put the piece of wood underneath it so the car can't go down the hill.
Yep.
It's getting over that block with mental health. And it was for me. I mean, I laid in bed for almost 2 months. So believe that I'm not trying to tell everybody, hey, just get over it. I'm telling you that there is something. Look, some days it might be, hey, I spent 10 minutes less in bed today. Hey, I got a shower today. Hey, I want you to find, it's not a small victory if you've been in bed for 3 days to get out of bed and take a shower. That's a massive victory for a lot of us. Yeah. So give yourself the wins. You know what I mean? You when I'm getting down lately, and it happens to me too. I've gotten a lot of attacks over the last 6 months or so as my cachet, if you would, has risen. I've just, you're always going to have jealous people. You're always going to have haters. You're always going to have people that want to take you down and want to tear you down. And so when you struggle with like self-worth, and you struggle with, feeling inadequate, and you literally never feel like you're going to measure up to yourself, but you have such high standards for yourself, and you're trying to be the best person you can. When you get that kind of hate, it's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
And so I have had to figure out now how, as a person who's been confident my whole life, how do you deal with that attack? Because I've always had people not like me, but I've never been being the best me that I've ever been and had people not like me. Like when people haven't liked me in the past, it's like, well, I can see why that. I'm like, dude, I'm being the best me. And what I realized is that there's always going to be people out there that have a problem. And I tie this back to this to say this to you. There's always going to be an issue or a problem in the streaming space, especially when it comes to content creation, mental health, positivity, encouragement. There's always going to be that grading. Okay, there's always going to be people that think, oh, well, it has to be this way, and others that think it has to be this way. And what I would like for us to all say is, you know what? Dave's way is going to work for Dave and Dave's community. My way is going to work for me and my community. And you know what? If I'm not working for you today, I want you to go see Dave. If Dave's type of positivity isn't working for you, I want you to go see my buddy Seth Drums. You know what I mean? And just laugh at the goofball for an hour and a half. You like whatever it is, like listen to some cool music. Like what is it that you need in that moment? You have enough of us that you can go and have the serious conversation about racial injustice and all the horrific things that are going on in the world as it regards to that. Or you can go to a safe space where that's never discussed. Or you can come to a space where if somebody has, like, listen, I'm having issues with cutting, I'm having issues with suicide. If they need to talk about it, I know that I can send them to Dave. I know if Dave's on, I can send them there, that's a safe space for them to be protected in their trauma. That's not trauma dumping. That's somebody that is in crisis that needs. And I think the truth of it is that a lot of streamers just don't want to deal with it in the moment. And they're not equipped and they're not capable of dealing with it. And that is also okay.
I think, you know what you said before, right, about like it changes. Have you ever seen my You Are Enough video, by the way? Yeah.
Yes, it's actually a tag on my, when people are having, when I can't deal with something, I actually send people to that video, in all honesty. Like that, seriously, I did it the other day. Oh. Somebody came in and I did not have the capability of handling the situation. It was a mix of over and over and over trauma dumping, which in this case, it was not dumping, it was sharing their issues, but it was very clear very quickly that they've been suggested the same things over and over, and they've already made up their mind that none of the solutions will work. Mm-hmm. And so they weren't going to listen to any help. All they wanted to do was share their trauma. And I said, this isn't the right place and time for that. I said, and I'm honestly not emotionally equipped to handle it right now, but I'll tell you what, here's where I need you to go. And we gave them some numbers and we gave them our resources that are on our Discord. And there were people on my team that were available to talk to them right then. Yeah. And they did. They went and watched the video and came back and were grateful. And I do believe they talked to one of my mods. Awesome. So, but it's at a certain point, I'm not a mental health streamer. I'm an encouragement and a motivation guy. And I want you to talk about, because you shared something with me one time. You said we're two sides of the same coin. And it really touched me because I felt like, I felt honored by that, to even be thought of that I could help. Like my goal is just to help you like get through the hump of whatever you're dealing with, like to give you that pat on the back that a coach would, to tell you, hey, you can make it through this. You know what I mean? That's what I see myself as. I don't see myself helping anybody's mental health necessarily. I think in a lot of ways.
I think, well, the thing about that is that it was probably about 4 or 5 years. I know it was on my wedding anniversary, which is weird because we were in Poland for my wedding anniversary, and my wife turned around to me and she's like, what's going on in your head? You're miles away. And I said, I'm trying to figure out how to motivate the unmotivated. And I mean the people who are at that point of inertia. And I think that's kind of always been, that's why, as you said before, I'll choose the 1 over the 99, because I've been that one. Like I've been that
somebody
one.
Went after. Yeah.
Well, no, actually no one went after me.
Oh.
No, this is the whole thing. 11 years ago, I tried to take my own life. And when that happened, I got faced with a mother that was cross at me for doing it. And I got faced by a friend who had stopped from killing themselves a year before, telling me it was just for attention. And then there was a friend that took me back to the hospital and looked after me, and basically I hadn't been speaking to him for like 6 months, and he let all of that drop, you know. And that's the whole thing is it's going to sound like I have a weird savior complex or something for a minute, but about a few, like, off the back of that, like, that was when I started like my own personal journey, which originally was just to get well for my kids, you know, because at the time my kids were I always get the ages wrong. It was 12 years ago this year, so 4 and 2 they'll have been. No,
it's hard to keep them straight. They grow pretty quick. It's interesting how that happens.
The oldest one just turned 16 last Friday, so
you can't be old enough to have a 16-year-old. There's no freaking way. You're like
39.
What were you, 12? What were you, 12?
I was 23.
Okay, so, you were a baby. You were young. That's young.
Yeah, I was in a big old rush, you know, and that was kind of one of my problems. But there wasn't that person there, and for me, it was a film. It was because I'd resigned myself to the fact that I couldn't be the dad that my kids deserved, and that I had nothing left to give, and that I was pathetic, useless piece of crap, you know, all that stuff.
I understand. That's the exact same ideations that I have. It didn't go any further for me, but yeah, the beginning of 2020. I understand the feeling of, hey, everybody be better off. Just I'm bringing people down. Their lives will be better. I get it. It's a horrible place.
And you know what? Like I watched a film called The Dive from Bell and the Butterfly, and it was a French film with a guy with locked-in syndrome, and he'd learned to blink and teach. Like the one of the nurses had learned to communicate with him through a series of blinks, and that he then wrote a book that way. True story. And I feel like Barney Stinson here. True story from How I Met Your Mother. And there's a scene where he's on a beach with his kids. He's in the wheelchair. He's like attached to all the tubes and the wires and everything. And it says, even a shadow, even a sliver of a dad is still a dad. And that's kind of what I needed to hear. Like, I mean, I was weeping for like 20, 30 minutes at that point. And I was like, because I needed to be told that the sliver of a dad that I was still enough. And it wasn't a friend that told me that. It wasn't a family member that told me that. When I watched that film, I was lying on the couch in my house thinking of when's the next time I can try and do this. Like, I was still adamant that I was going to end it all. And that's the thing. So maybe this is why I feel about trauma dumping. I feel that I should be able to share that story with people without being shamed, without being told this story is too much.
I agree.
But then a few years later, this is about 4.5 years ago now. I thought when I did my cognitive behavioral therapy, Adam will like throw open his mouth when I say neurolinguistic programming. I did all these things. I basically
NLP.
Yeah, I did all of these things. I read pretty much every self-help book, went to all the therapy, got back on the medication, did everything, and then when I learned the tools to become a coach, and when I started helping other people again, because in order to get back to being good, I basically had to say, screw everyone else, I'm looking out for me, except for my kids.
I found this on the web.
I'm glad you found that on the web, Siri. You shouldn't be
Siri,
listening.
you crazy dude. Siri is nuts with streamers. She won't shut up sometimes. I'm like, stop it. I got it.
And and the thing was, then I had a whole 2 or 3 year period where my depression just buggered off. Like, it just wasn't there. I had never had that length of time. So I got a little bit cocky and a little bit like, mental health completed it. You know, and
completed, finished, mental health check. Yeah, okay.
Done all the end game content, beat Ruby Weapon, and all that stuff.
There's no end game content in mental health. There's no end game. There is none.
And I got a little bit cocky, and then all the times before with depression in me, it was external. Like, there was external things. Through high school, it was I was being horrendously bullied, and then I did develop an eating disorder. Then when I was suicidal, my anxiety had kind of floated along all the time, but my serious, severe depression, that year, it was when I'd basically lost all my friends and family to be in a relationship that never ended up working out. And basically that I'd basically put all my eggs into a basket that had been quickly removed. And it was always environmental. And then whatever
it's
year
a
it
good
was.
thing for that to happen, though, because it shows you, like, you need that to happen in your life. You need to have that relationship where you totally get brokenhearted and you put everything into it, because then you realize that it's not about another person. It really is about me being what I need to be for myself first and foremost, and figuring me out.
Yeah.
Like, because nobody else will complete you. Nobody else will fix you. No other human being can do that. Like, that's our responsibility to get the help. But it's still up to me at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, every journey, most journeys will require help from other people, but every single one requires help from yourself, without a shadow of doubt. All of them require it to a degree. And this time, I was in a good place. Work was going good. And depression crept up, and for the first time in my life, I had no external reason. I mean, I'd had smaller spells, obviously, wouldn't like you, because I have depression, I have bipolar disorder, so I'm prone to it. But this was the first time that my external environment, everything was great, and I think I actually needed to learn that lesson, because ultimately, if I hadn't have learned that lesson, I probably would have always felt you fix the external, and the internal will follow. And I'm kind of in a weird way grateful for that experience, because that was where that got me out of the hole, completed it. That got me out of that attitude, that got me out of that cockiness. But I remember lying on the couch, and I was crying for days, and I don't know if this was external or internal. It was definitely being said. All I kept on saying was, no one's coming to save me. Now, I was in bits saying that. I was like, nobody's coming to save me. Nobody's coming to save me. And then literally at one time, it was like I was repeating a mantra over and over again. And then at one point I was like, no one's coming to save me.
Perspective shift.
Yeah. And in my head, I was like, I bet other people are feeling like this too. And I was like, how can we do this proactively? What can we do to, rather than the person to get to the situation that I'm in?
Yes.
In order to because that no one was coming to save me at that point, because no one knew. Or the ones that did know didn't know. Like my wife, bless her, still doesn't really 100% know. She just kind of now will be like, right, she'll ask me, do you want me to leave you with space, or do you want me to be there? And I'll be like, both. But yeah, and that whole point is I became obsessed with this whole idea of how do I help that person, because saying again, the motivation only works on the motivated was the expression that I use for this. And if you look up #motivation, then a person who's already kind of sort of motivated will be like, we'll find something in there. It'll be like, never miss a Monday, and they're like, right, that's all I needed to hear, and now I'm going to go out and crush Monday or whatever. Whereas a person that's further down on that list, that actually might push them even further down.
Yep, it can. For me, 2 years ago, if I had seen JDdotST on Twitter, I would have changed the channel.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's, again, it goes back to you're not here for everybody, and neither am I. I'm here for the people that need that one moment, that need that catalyst, that need that thing that's going to help them get over the hump, that's going to remind them of who they actually are rather than who they feel like. Yeah. Because to me, so much of it is coping, right? And for me personally, I cope with understanding. I cope with knowledge and fact. And so I have to separate my feeling, which is extremely difficult. It's harder to do in the moment than it is out of. But I have to separate my feeling from the reality. And so a lot of what I do all week is about telling you, hey, I know it feels like, I know it looks this way, but that's not the reality, because the reality of what you and I do is based much more upon our choices, our actions, our decisions in the moments and after, and what we do with it, rather than the actual thing that's happening to us externally. Now, the internal is much more hard to control, but I think that we look at it the wrong way. I think we try to control our emotions, and we need to be fixing the things that are that are triggering our emotions. So what I mean is we need to not be getting on Twitter first thing in the morning, Dave. We need to, right? We need to not.
Oh, I know this.
We need to not, right. We need to be eating healthy. We need to be watching our caffeine intake. We need to be taking care of our physical health. We need to be like all of this stuff. That's what gets us to the point of no return. It wasn't, and I know people are like, well, that sounds so simple. Well, it is a lot more simple. You know, the reason that I talk to my doctor friends all the time, but they're like, I'm like, why don't you guys just prescribe diet, exercise, and therapy? And they're like, because nobody will do that.
Yep.
That our patients will die or for not doing that. So we have to give them pills. We have to pump them full of they won't go. We have to give them we would love for them to just go get on a damn treadmill. They're not willing to do it. Right?
Yeah. And it's that inertia again, isn't it? It's like to get over the inertia, even though there's stigma around medication, to get over the inertia of not taking a pill to taking a pill.
Well, no, I'm not putting one down over the other. I'm saying that so many of us need to do. My point is not that one is bad. Listen, for many of us, we do need to be on medication, and that is a healthy thing. I think every single human being on the planet needs to be in therapy or counseling, period. One-on-one, talk therapy or counseling with a human being. You need to do it. Even if you feel amazing, do it once a quarter. Just go and get it checked. It's like a mammogram for women. You need to do this for yourself. And I actually got told the other day that could hurt people. And I'm listening to it and I'm thinking about it, but I'm like, man, I needed to hear. You know what I mean? Again, we can't be everything for everyone. You have to serve the people that you need to serve. And so for me, I am just passionate about, hey, please, take care of your physical health and you won't have to do as much work on your mental and emotional health. And I think you know this to be true as well in your own life, taking care of I call it the 360. It's everything. It's mental, spiritual, emotional, physical health, food health. You do all of these things. It's what you put into your mind. If you're like, well, I'm having trouble trusting my fiance. Well, you spent last week watching nothing but shows about people cheating on each other. You spent 8 hours watching Cheaters last month. You know what I mean? Seriously, we have to look at it's I'm really afraid of being murdered. Well, yeah, you watch Law and Order every night while you're going to bed.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but it's not. It's really not. It's man, the world is just coming apart. How long did you watch CNN or the BBC for yesterday? Oh, well, 4 hours. It was on all day at work. And I'm just saying, this stuff. Yeah, stop for yourself. You gotta, I say this, put on your oxygen mask. It's like when you're on an airplane. If you've ever been on an airplane, the flight attendant will come on at the beginning of the flight, right? And they'll say, in the event of cabin depressurization, oxygen mask will fall from the overhead compartment. Please place your oxygen mask on you before helping anyone else. This includes children or the elderly that might be next to you. And it's oh my gosh, but what about the baby? No, because I will be passed out if I don't have any oxygen. I didn't realize this, but most pilots wear their oxygen masks through the entire flight. I did not realize this. So we have to be taking care of ourselves. The pilots are always on oxygen. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's just one of the things. We've always got to be making sure that we're taking in clean oxygen. Are you feeling negative? Well, how much negativity is coming at you in your life? Do you have to separate yourself from some of it? That's a healthy thing. Yeah. I call it raising the drawbridge. You know what I mean?
It's one of those interesting things as well, because we are pushed to care about absolutely everything now.
Yes.
And actively care about everything. And that's why I think overwhelms on the rise. It's people, if we were to go back before the internet's connected and it's been amazing, but if we were to go back over the internet, the same amount of injustice was happening in the world, but we weren't all aware of it. Now, I'm not saying that's a better situation. What I'm saying is that we only have so much injustice or suffering or
bandwidth.
Bad news. Yeah,
yes.
exactly. And the thing is, we also have negativity bias. So every piece of positive news, you need 10 of them to outweigh a piece of negative news. And it is very easy for us to then make the generalization that the world is a terrible place. And if you think that the world is a terrible place, the world is filled with horrible events, and that's the story that you tell yourself, then you're gonna be more finely tuned to pick them out when they are actually there. Also, it makes you feel worse in the moment that you're in right now.
Of course it does.
This is the thing. It's like, it's funny how people are like, right now, positivity has been, we've had toxic positivity come out as a thing recently, it's 100% a thing, and there are people that are like, there are 100% people that do toxic positivity. It's not as many as people think, though, because all positivity tends to get lumped in with toxic positivity.
Correct.
And the thing is, people say, well, telling me that there's better things going on in the world, telling me about all the good things in the world doesn't make me actually feel better. But actually telling people about the bad things that are going on in the world does make them feel worse. It's stacked against us. It's an unfair system. And there was this great sort of letter, I think it was written by an Australian lady about 3 years ago, and she said, if you're aware of this but not this, then I applaud you. And it was like it was a long list of like, if you're focusing on mental health but not physical health, then I applaud you. If you are about animal rights but you don't know anything about fast fashion, then this. If you're and it's like, it basically said that, if you've picked your thing and that you want to represent for that one thing, and you're not splitting your bandwidth to represent for everything else, then that's okay too.
Yes.
And you
only have so much. What would have happened if Steve Jobs, and like, I am quoting people, I'm not making any moral or personal reference to them. I'm talking about just simply what we know of these people as, great minds, okay? But what if Steve had said, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to open a clothing company and what if he had opened 20 businesses instead of just focusing on Apple? You know what I mean? The guy that had the idea for the iPhone 40 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, he knew that this was going to be a thing. Like, come on. What if he had split that? But no, he was, to a fault, according to every biography I've read on the man. he was focused, laser focused on the thing that mattered to him, that gave it. I call it finding your purpose. I believe your purpose is an extremely powerful thing. And Dave, I personally believe that if your purpose, and I'm not going to declare what your purpose is, that's for you to decide. But if your purpose, well, you're already doing that, baby. But if your purpose is to make sure that the people who would normally fall through the cracks don't slip through your fingers, that you catch every one of them that you can, then that is a beautiful and noble thing. And if you can't fight other battles because that is your battle to fight, then damn right, I applaud you for that, because I believe that you can do more good than if you try. I'm 40, I'll be 41 in June. And I've done too many things in my life. Now, it's a good thing now because I kind of have this renaissance man. I've done literally 20 different career paths. From I was in musical theater when I was young. I've done tons of stuff. You can read my bio on my site.
I have done. That's where my one question of the day actually comes from. But carry on.
Do you want to ask a question? It ties in.
This will tie in with this. My question was going to be with things like the musical theater, like being a youth pastor and things like that. How does all of that play into the man you are today and how you run your stream?
Every single bit of it is why I can stream the way I do. So, I started off in musical theater when I was 11. I was on Broadway in a show called The Secret Garden, Tony Award-winning musical. Fantastic cast. The guy that played my dad is Mandy Patinkin, for crying out loud. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die, from The Princess Bride. So fantastic cast. I learned a ton. But when you are signing autographs for 2 hours after every show at 10, 11 years old, you kind of get an inflated sense of self-worth. you like, it's hard not to believe your own press when you actually have really good press. Do you know what I mean? Like when it's in the New York Times and they're like, well, he's the second person to play the role, but I think he was better than the first kid that did it. You're 11. You don't not take that. That doesn't. You can't help it. You're I'm making more money than my dad. He had 2 master's degrees. I'm 11 years old, living in a penthouse in New York City. You know what I mean? Eating whatever I wanted to. Like I had people. You have people putting your clothes on you, for crying out loud, because it's a union thing. Like they have dressers, and you're not. So you get this inflated sense. But here's the thing. The beauty is that I know what it's like to feel like the center of attention, and then I know what it's like when all of the lights turn off. Ooh. And it's just you. And it's just who you really are, and you realize, oh my God, I'm nothing. And so I've had both, and my entire life has been both of those things simultaneously. Whether it was my music career, I was in multiple different bands. We toured, had a couple of record deals that just didn't quite happen, just for whatever reason or another. I auditioned for and was cast in a little bitty show called the Mickey Mouse Club. Nobody was in it. These kids like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake and Ryan Gosling, nobody big that ever did anything with their lives professionally, certainly. You guys, nobody knows who they are.
No.
So yeah, I was cast in that group. Couldn't get out of the snowstorm in Detroit to fly down for the final taping. And so the way the story goes, my alternate, some guy named Justin Timberlake, ended up going on instead of me. So you can imagine how tough that is at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. And then on top of it, you're getting called the little Broadway, insert they just every I'm trying to think of the right word, gender-based or sexual orientation-based. That's what I was looking at. Slur that they could. So, it's you little Broadway, insert the F word every day of my middle school and high school life, getting beat up. And here I am thinking that I'm great. Do you know what I mean? And so it was just very difficult. And so then I went into music. I went into the music field. I worked in recording studios for years, worked with everybody from Outkast to Elton John as basically the second or third assistant engineer. So you set up the microphones, you get the coffee, you go get the food, but you get to be in the room. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I got to see a guy get fired for forgetting to back up an entire day of Elton John singing. That was like, I got to see Elton John fart in front of everybody multiple times to make people laugh, to break the tension. A beautiful human being, one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. Beautiful person. Got to meet Whitney and Bobby, Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown. Whitney was just sweet and kind and wonderful, and she passed away a few years after that. So it was just, I got to experience some incredible moments in that. But again, I didn't achieve any real success in that. I got to be in the room for a lot of stuff, but never really made it to the next level. And I moved on to the next thing and to the next thing. I opened my own business with some friends of mine and did construction because I knew how to do that from when I was a kid. Done a lot of different things. It all comes in to this. At 39, I thought I had absolutely nothing. I thought I was nothing. I thought I didn't have anything to show for all of my years of serving people. When COVID happened, it shut down my business. I had a home theater business where I was doing lighting and home theater installations at a very high level. We had a beautiful house on the lake, 3 cars for 2 people. Do you know what I mean? Like things were good. And COVID happened, and I was a youth pastor at a local church, being able to help young people through the struggles that I went through of feeling alienated and left out, and like, no. So it was just kind of this beautiful thing, and kind of in one fell swoop, all of that ended. Do you know what I mean? And racial tension erupted in our area, and I had people in my church saying all lives matter, and I'm sitting here going, well, wait a minute, but that's not, you shouldn't be, no, stop. And it just got crazy. And I thought I got to a point where I literally thought I had nothing. I thought I was worth nothing. I had nothing left. And I felt like everything I had ever done in my life was for naught, to use a word you probably like. It was for nothing. I felt like everything in my life at 39 years old, I was sitting looking at turning 40, and I'm going, I have nothing to show for my life. I had nothing to show for it. I felt like COVID had taken everything. I felt like I felt like everything had just ended. And after about 2 or 3 months of sitting and wallowing in it and watching the news 24/7 and eating poorly and like not taking care of myself, I got to a point where I'm like, this isn't going to work. And I don't know why I started streaming. I don't know what made that happen other than I had a webcam and I was used to communicating, and now my ability to communicate with my students, with other people, had been taken away, and I had to talk. I had to communicate some way, and so I had a webcam and a microphone and none of this stuff. And it was a dark room in a closet back in our little apartment that we had to move into. We downsized everything. And I started talking, and now 10 months later, we almost have 2,000 followers, and we've got 800 subscribers, and I have a huge platform to be able to help people. And it's every single thing that I did throughout my entire life. I use every single day, Dave. Everything from knowing how to set up microphones, from knowing how, I'm saying everything from knowing how to communicate, from knowing how to be passionate, from knowing how to do music and how to time things the perfect way, from knowing when to push and when to back up, like from knowing how to get a microphone to sound amazing, how to get a camera to look good, I built a lot of what you see behind me, like these tubes with these LEDs. I built and put together, like some of the wiring is soldered. Do you know what I mean? Like I used the skill sets that I had. My first lighting setup was like wax paper over some incandescent bulbs, but it looked really good because I already had a lot of the skill sets to be able to do that stuff. So what I'm saying is, here's my point to all of that. That very long-winded story, which everything I do is long-winded. It works great for being a streamer, but why use 2 words when you could use 20? No, but seriously, everything that I'm saying is this: you are already enough. The people in this room right now, they're already enough. You already have the skills that you need. Yes, you may need to grow in those areas, but you've already got the basis for what is going to change your world for the better and what could change your life. I firmly believe that you have the power to change your world for the better, period, by utilizing things that you already have, but we don't see them. We just don't see them because we're sitting here stuck in. It's not seeing the forest for the trees. And when you're stuck in the forest, all you can see is the trees. You do need somebody to help you through that. You do need somebody to point out, hey, no, there's a path over here. It's okay. I know there's a path here because I've gone down this path. You can do it too. Or I'll help you cut a different path if this path doesn't work for you. Do you know what I mean? I got a machete. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, no, not I got a machete. Let's cut down the branches. Let's get through this together. So that's what I see myself as, is like I really envision myself as the person that's here to tell you, hey, wait a minute, you are enough. You do matter. Your dreams matter. Your hopes matter. What you want to do with your life matters because you have value. And I firmly believe that if you're 1 in 400 billion that exists in this moment in time, that tells me that you have a purpose. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you've been told you don't have worth, even if you've been told that you aren't enough, it can't possibly be true because you exist right now. It just doesn't logically make any sense. Why in this massive universe on this one spinning blue ball do you exist in this very moment in time if there's not a reason for you to be here? I don't believe it's just happenstance and accident. I don't believe it's just chance that you're here. I don't believe that you're hurting and you come into this room and you hear Dave talk. That you're having a rough day and you need some encouragement and you walked into this room this morning. Maybe you weren't even supposed to be here today. I'm not even supposed to be here today. It's my day off. It doesn't matter. You're here for a purpose and a reason, and I believe that you have a purpose. There's people that you're going to come in contact with today. You got me started, Dave. Don't get me started in the morning. There's people that you guys are going to come in contact with today, and you have the ability to smile at them. You have the ability to give them a kind word, and that could be all it takes to save their life, to save somebody else's life. I just wonder how many people just need a smile, just need a, hey, are you okay? Hey, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Somebody screwed up our order at the takeout place yesterday. And he was he's like, I'm so sorry, man. It was my fault. I messed that up. I'm like, dude, it's some fries. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. And it was like, you didn't yell at me. We're so conditioned to, like, we make one mistake and somebody blows up. Like, be the guy that be the gal that goes, it's no big deal. I'm not in a hurry. It's fine. Like, just give that to somebody else because you never know when you might need it. I just want us to, like, if we could just do that one little thing of just a little bit of kindness for the people that we come in contact with, I think the entire freaking world changes. I think it changes.
No, I 100% agree. And my kind of very first encounter of being in your stream was for one of these such moments that you've just done. I believe you call it a goosing.
Honk honk, baby.
In the UK, that means something significantly more.
That means sticking your finger in somebody's booty.
Oh, really?
That's what it means. I mean, that's what it means over here. Getting goosed is when you, like, walk by somebody back in middle school and you, like, you gave them a little, they called it an oil check. Now, it wasn't supposed to be goosing, okay? It was supposed to be a gassing. You know what gassing each other up is, right? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, but it turned into a goosing, and we're kind of inappropriate sometimes, so.
But yeah, no, that was, I came into your channel and basically said, you were like, you know, how are you doing? And I was just like, to be honest, I'm having a bad day today. And I got there just at the time that I believe, was it Midnight Endless Summer by Midnight Sky? I may have gone and researched the music. No.
Oh yeah, baby, the Midnight LA.
That song, that I literally have that song on whenever I want to remember that moment. Now, you see, it's nice. It's a nice little reminder.
Aww.
So, because I went back into your VOD to see what song came, because thankfully you've got that song thing, and I'm like, right, that's into my favourites now. And yeah, like, you know, you did that for me at that moment, and this is why this is kind of, I'm not sure if it was before or after that I said about you and I being the same side, you know, the same side, two sides of the same coin, really. And it's like, there's a spark and there's fuel is what I think about this. And it's funny, like, you're identifying, I suppose, as the spark, the thing that gets a person going. But that day, you were the thing that kept me going. So you were the fuel for me that day, and that thing was that was exactly what I needed at that moment in time. Because, you know, as you well know, when you're the one telling everyone that they're enough every day, sometimes, you know, don't get told it in return. Sometimes, you know, there's that whole thing of when you give everything to everybody else, if you finally burn out, people turn around and say, well, how can you be burning out? You've always got so much energy. You're always, it's like, you know, and I always say that's like, you know, driving your car around all day and then being like, what do you need gas for? Like, you know, it's like, you've been driving me around all day. How can you possibly be out of fuel? And it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I honestly just want you to directly know that you were the person who got me through that day, because I was really struggling that day, and
see, that's my purpose. I mean, that's I've always seen my purpose is to be able to help somebody through that moment. I mean, if it's pouring gas on a fire that's already lit, let's go, baby. But if it's relighting that spark, I want to do that too. And I mean, that's, you know, when I was a youth pastor, my only thought process, it wasn't about I have never believed that religion is what saves somebody. What saves you is your choice, is your belief in yourself. Like, so for me, it was never, youth pastoring was never about proselytizing, or it was never about a religious aspect for me. It was always more about, how can I let a young person see who they really are? And what I realized is that, you know what? So many of us grown-ups don't know, need to know, not don't know, but we forget so easily how incredible we really are, how magical it is that we exist in the first place, how beautiful that is. And then we have to understand, I think we've got to start accepting the pain is part of the pleasure. In other words, if I never am in the valley to grow, I never know what it feels like on the mountaintop. And I know that sounds hard. I know that sounds challenging, but man, I don't want for life to get better, because it's not going to. 40 years on this planet has told me life is not going to miraculously just get easier. I'm sorry. This is just some tough love, friends. Life doesn't just get easier. As you get older, you get more responsibility. You have more wisdom, and so you are more responsible. With great knowledge comes great responsibility. Come on, we all know what Stan Lee said. So, and the Bible and the Quran and the Torah say the exact same thing, but it's fine. Stan Lee is actually God. But truthfully, I say all that to say this: if you could just see how amazing, how valuable, how wonderful that you really are, how much you really matter. We need that. We need to know that. And I want to do that for everybody, every single day, every single minute of the day. I want you to come around my people and me and know that your future is worth having. Your future is worth living, that you matter. Yes, legendary Jigs, that's right. You do have a future, and you're enough. Yeah, you guys say you're enough. And I've been saying that a lot lately, so I blame Dave for that one. Because and Dave, even at your worst, this is what I want people to know. Even at your absolute worst, even on your worst of days, you're still enough. Dang it, you're still enough. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think you've done anything less than be stellar today, my brother. And in our there's a biblical saying that is, in our weakness there's strength. And I believe more and more that the more I can have a bad day and tell my fam, hey, listen, yeah, I'm having a rough day, but I'm showing up. I'm here because you do matter. I'm here because I will take care of myself enough. I will set the example, and I will get the help that I need, which you're doing. And I'm proud of you for taking the next few days off, because I think that's you making sure that you get the help. And you know that you can hit me up in those next few days if you need a little bit of encouragement. I'll call your ass, and we'll do it on the phone. All right, buddy? Because just know that what you do matters. What you do makes a difference. You're changing the world every single day. And I believe that we're the future of helping people. I believe that there are people that are going to be helped by you, and helped by my community, and helped by the communities attached to us more now than ever before. And I think that we're going to give people a place to grow. And I think they need that. I think folks need that. So you have a enormous gift. You have an incredible amount of talent. You have a brilliant mind, and I love the way that it works. I love the way that you think, and I love the way that you turn. You take my thought processes a lot, and you make me rethink them, not in a way that makes me question myself, but in a way that opens my eyes to perspectives that I might not have seen. And I love that. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful that you're in my life, man. I needed you to know that, because you matter to me. So just know that you've helped me just as many days as I've helped you. And I am so glad that you're here on this platform. I believe that people like you and I are the future. People that state what we're about. We do what we're about, and we love people. We love each other, and I think we're in this together. So I'm so glad to know you, my friend.
Can we make a little deal?
Absolutely.
I will accept all of that you've just said, which is very hard, because accepting that level of compliments is tricky. Providing that you accept it too.
absolutely.
But you are that person. You know, you are that person to me and to so many others as well. And by the way, everyone in chat, I didn't bring JD on specifically to do this to me, by the way, although I kind of thought it might happen. But I didn't know it was going to happen quite like that. I thought there would be some sort of goosing / gassing or, you know, oil check. But you are like you do. I've been in your chat, and I've seen how much your community think of you as well. And the thing is, like yours and my paths are so similar. It's unreal. You know, it's like. I didn't quite make it onto Broadway, but that's probably because there is no Broadway in Liverpool. But
West End, you got the West End.
But I became obsessed with music from the age of 6. I knew I wanted to be a performer when I was 6 years old. Having watched the scene in Big where they play the piano in the store, I went and taught myself that on the keyboard, and then that was it. I can't really turn it round, but actually, I'll ruin my camera. No, I won't, because it'll unplug. If I could show you,
I see your Paul Reed Smith over there.
Yeah, it's hiding in the background. But there's a building just out there that looks like a big chalet. That still is a functioning recording studio. I built that like. It's got
amazing.
It's got nothing but furniture in there now. Now, again, I never quite got to.
It's a she shed now. We call them she sheds in the States. Now the wife goes out there.
Oh no, she doesn't go anywhere near it because there's too much clutter in there for her. I go near I occasionally go near also, you know, the You're Enough video. You know, we talked about bringing your past and bringing the things. Next time you watch the You're Enough video, every bit of music on that is me. So.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
dude,
not many.
We need to talk.
And
I've been talking to Harris and Ryan. Like, there's a lot of room for music. So from streamers, everybody's looking for more music from streamers. So we need to talk offline about some stuff, buddy. I bet you got a back catalog of beautiful stuff. I thought that was royalty-free music. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
It's still weirdly enough, they've been listened to more since I was street. The most hilarious thing about the stuff I do is that everything everything pops either when I'm not trying or when I've walked away.
I have a bigger audience doing this than I ever did at any church.
Yeah. So I have a bigger audience
than most of the pastors that I used to serve on. Like, and it bothers that they're like, they don't understand. They're like, what are you doing? And they watch and they're like, oh, I get why that's working. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you're telling people the truth of who they are. You're telling them like passionate biblical truth that is biblical from whatever. I don't care whether it's the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. These are if it goes back to Sanskrit, the truth about who you are is that you're uniquely made. The truth about who you are is that if we are created, that we're special. And like, I think that's something that is universal. I think we all need to know that. And I think there was a whole generation. I know I totally changed subject, but I just have to say this. I think there's a whole generation of us that grew up believing that no one was special. And the truth is that's the exact opposite. Every single one of us is so beautiful, so special, so unique, so wonderful, so brilliant, so capable of doing. You may not be capable. Dave and I are very different and can't do all of the same things, but look at how much we have in common. But we're not the same at all. That's what makes us beautiful and unique, and why we all work so well and mesh so well together. We have to get onto this thing of knowing that you're special, that you do matter, that you're incredible, that you're, as hard as it is. Stop looking at me that way, Dave. I know it's hard to hear, but it's true. It is true.
I'm just listening.
And if it's true, if it's true about anybody else, if you look at any other human being and you believe it's true about them, it's damn skippy true about you, boo.
Oh, yeah.
So you own that and you drink that Kool-Aid right now.
This is something I came to terms with about 3 years ago when I realized that I didn't take my own advice, and a lot of people do still not take their own advice. I still some days don't.
Same. I'm human.
But if your go-to is, well, I just don't ever take my own advice, there's something that I want to say to you if you are that person. I don't think that's you, but it is either option A, you either know that your own advice is crap, you give it out to the people, but you keep the good stuff for yourself, Or option B is you give all the good stuff away and you don't think you deserve to take it.
Right.
It's usually B, by the way, for most.
It is usually B.
It's usually B true. Because generally speaking, and I answered the question a few years back. It feels like it. I've not even been on Twitch a few years. A few months back, we usually have a question in the stream. And
it was last week. It just feels like 2 years ago.
It was today. But no, it was about 2 months ago, and it was if you could make one change in the world, what would it be? And my answer to that was I would make it so everyone saw themselves objectively, because I think there's either, again, there doesn't seem to be people that see themselves objectively. There's either
screw world peace. I want that, baby.
There's either narcissists that see themselves overly inflated,
right.
Or more often than not, there's absolutely amazing, wonderful people that cannot see their worth.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think narcissism has really been overdiagnosed. I think there's a lot of false bravado that masquerades as narcissism, and it's not. It's insecurity. It's just the ego is the flip side of insecurity, because I have a massive ego, but I'm very insecure. Now I'm able to say it now at 40. I wasn't able to say it at 20, so I just came off as a total prick. At the same time, I had the right to kind of I was good. That's the worst, when you're actually good at something and you believe your own but you're also insecure. Oh God. I mean, that's why you see so many actors and musicians overdose. Mm-hmm. That's really why. That's why things, rest in peace DMX, and these guys and gals get so heavily addicted to this stuff. It really truly is because it's that battle. But it's not narcissism. There's so few real narcissists out there, right? There's so few real out there. It's like now, somebody called me a narcissist the other day because I said I'm amazing. I'm good. I'm a good person. I'm doing the best that I can do with what I have. Oh, that's a little narcissistic. No, it's not. I love myself, and there's nothing wrong with loving yourself. I don't like myself all the time, but I choose to love myself and accept myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
my beard game is awesome. Thank you.
It is. That was when you said before, funnily enough, there are things that I can do that you can't do, and vice versa. I'm like, yeah, grow a proper beard. What am I? It's like, this is about as good as it gets. But,
is that 2 months growth? Did you shave the last time when you?
It goes upwards.
This is bad. Mrs. JD is like, listen, I will put you outside. I will put you outside if you don't deal with that soon. So
amazing. Let's get it back to you for a second, because you've done an awful lot of talking about me, which is it's been absolutely wonderful. I mean,
I like you.
I like you too. Oh, you're cute too.
you have a great background. You like everything you do on your stream is good. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. You're amazing.
Thank you. So are you.
We have similar color schemes. I don't even know what to tell you. I love the blue and teal, or whatever the hell it is. At this point, it's purple, pink, teal. Harris Heller just did a new album, and it was basically our stream colors. And I wrote Ryan, one of his producers, or his executive producer, and I'm like, bro, really? I know you guys have been hanging out in the stream. Stop it. And he's like, no, that was a different artist. I'm like, oh, okay. And I send him my logo, and he starts cracking up. But dude, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about your amazing community that you're building. So, okay, but what do you need to know about me? Go ahead.
What I want to know is you talked about moving into streaming because, you had a voice and you needed it to be, you needed to do something with it, which I totally and utterly relate to. It's like, if I go too long without using my voice for things, I end up feeling worse than if I burn out, to be honest. I'd literally rather burn out on a regular basis than be silenced on a regular basis, But what is the overarching sort of purpose of your stream now?
It changes every week, because
that's why I said
works, now. Yeah, what worked in I spent the first month kind of playing Warzone, trying to just figure out how to stream. Yeah. I spent the next 6 months really learning what streaming was, and I joined pipeline.gg with Snoopy and Stone Mountain and learned from them. I'm still a member and love that organization. Then I joined our mutual friend Ashney over at Stream Coach Academy. Ashley Christ, if you don't know who that is, she's freaking incredible. We love her. And so I joined her for that and learned there. And now I'm really focused on my community, but the entire on just building this community. And I've gotten into GTA RP lately, which is it's like a drug. It's it's crack for an actor. It really is, because it's so improv. It's like improv acting plus video games. It's just been fantastic. So we've been doing that in the evenings, and it's been wild and great fun. But the majority of what I do every single day, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do morning motivation, which is legitimately the entirety of the purpose for everything else. Everything else exists so I can do that. But it is not, in the beginning, I would do that for like 4 hours a day, and it's not sustainable. I can't emotionally do that level. So now I do a big goosing for an hour, and the whole morning's about encouragement and about helping people see who they really are. And then we get into other things. I help streamers with tech stuff on days like Tuesday, and we talk about gaming and all of those good things. We talk about stuff that's going on in the world and things like that. But the primary focus is that morning motivation thing that I do every single day. And it's really just to help you see the truth of who you are, help you get back on track, help you hit the reset button if you've had a rough start to your morning or whatever. Because I think we all need to put a name to it. Like we need to have a focus for it. And so I think sometimes just, 10 minutes of like hearing the truth about what I am, even if I don't feel it, to go from being a negative human being to being a more positive human being. And I still have my moments of complete negativity and utter just freaking failure, right? But I reset regularly every single night, every single morning. I'm able to reset by literally just a mantra of saying, today's going to be a good day. I'm not going to allow the circumstance and situation that comes at me to dictate who I am. I have the choice to be who I'm going to be. I get to choose this. You know what I mean? This is my decision. So I get to choose I don't get to choose that I have feelings, but I get to choose what I do with them. And so that's what I've really focused on. And it took me almost a month of intentionality, of decision every day. It wasn't a feeling. It wasn't based on my feeling. And I felt like crap for the first 13 days. But by the 14th day of doing it, of getting up and deciding it, of also getting rid of the negative in my life, of getting rid of all of the extra, I mean, seriously, I cut out the caffeine. I started drinking more water. I started like all of the cliched stuff I did. You know what I mean? I went out and got fresh air and exercise, like all of the stuff that you're like, that won't work. I was just like, well, what if you do all of the stuff that you've always said won't work? Because that's what my wife said to me. She said, what if? Just like, what if you're miserable right now? What if you tried something different? And so I did, just like you did. You tried everything. You did it, and you saw that it worked. What a surprise that when the things that all of the experts, that all of the people have told us for years, that sound really stupid, that sound really simple, that when you start to do them consistently over time, it's not one day, it's not 2 days. It took 40 years for my brain to develop these neural pathways. It's going to take more than 4 hours for me to get out of them. That once you start doing them consistently, you have a better chance. You have a better foundation to go from, right?
Yeah.
And
have you ever heard me talk about these things? These are my props. A slingshot and a boomerang.
For a second, the boomerang looked like a hot dog with ketchup and mustard on it. So now that I know it's not a hot dog, I feel much more comfortable. Okay. Yes, what's the boomerang and the slingshot?
I have a hot dog just sat on my desk for when I get hungry. So basically, boomerang goes forward only to come back. A behavior that gives you instant gratification only to give you the payoff later, to take back from you later on. Caffeine makes me feel like I have energy in the moment.
Okay.
Makes me crash later on. Credit card makes me feel like I've got money in the moment.
Yeah.
Like eating for me was the big thing when I was 14. I was binge eating. They made me feel great while I was doing it, and then made me feel. Then I had all of my problems there before. Then self-loathing. Yeah. Opposite to it. I'm not going to fire it at you. I promise. Ping. A slingshot. it's about consistency, and it's about giving it time. The effort goes in first.
Yes.
The effort has to go in first. And you know what? The reason so many people don't do it is because you have to put, when you're already struggling, you have to put in even more effort. And you don't get the reward straight away. The reward is later. But the thing is as well is that you're not just firing one big hefty slingshot. You're firing 10 of them that are all going off at different times and all interact with each other. And sometimes it's like getting that bit of sunshine won't be enough to get your head above the water, but you get a little bit closer.
Yes.
And then that food might not be enough to get your head above the water, but you get a little bit closer. And then you go and talk to somebody, and then the next thing your nose is above the water, you can breathe.
That's what I'm saying. And then over time, yes.
And the problem with all of this is, and I think we need both the industry and the individuals to actually change their mentality to make any forward motion with this, because ultimately this might work, this might help, these things together might contribute. You can't sell that. But that's because they can't. The industry can't sell that because they're saying might work as opposed to will work, and other people won't buy that because they're hearing might work rather than will work. And we actually have to have a certain degree of faith.
Yes,
and instead,
and hope. Yes,
we have to have it. We have to do it and go. You know what? This is harder now, but the reward is coming later. And I think that's one of the things that, and obviously you being a youth pastor and stuff. I actually come from a religious background as well. I'm not religious anymore. I'm more spiritual.
I'm not either.
I'm kind of believe that there's something there, but let's face it, if there is, we haven't got it right yet.
No, if there is a God that I can understand, it's not a God worth worshiping. Like if my finite brain can understand the being that created the cosmos, then it does. Do you know what I mean? You're not supposed to be able to understand it, and you know what? That's freaking okay.
Yeah. And I think that's why religion, even though literally if any of them are right, all the rest of them are wrong, like that's why religion brings so many people so much comfort, because it switches them into that kind of eternal mentality. I can actually endure a struggle now for a reward that's coming later. It teaches that, as opposed to modern society, which teaches if I can't get my Amazon Prime right now, then I'm going to complain.
I think that's a big problem with mental health right now and I call it coping, but I think instant gratification is probably a better way of saying it. Like I mean, day 5, I was ready to give up. Day 7, I was ready to give up. And like day 14, it wasn't like everything was roses. It was just like I finally didn't feel like everything was gonna, you know what I mean? I had focused and pushed myself regardless of the feeling for long enough to where all of a sudden, hey, wait, I don't have that bad feeling. Now, trust, the bad feeling came back the next week, but then I knew how to deal with it. And I knew 6 months later when I started falling back into it, I knew, well, wait a minute, let me do a self-check. Oh, wait, I've been drinking nothing but coffee. I haven't had a water in 3 days. Do you know what I mean? Like I was able to check myself and when was the last time I went and talked to somebody? You know what I mean? All of those things. So once you've gotten there, it's a lot easier to know you can get back. And that's a beautiful thing. Ooh, you just got a bus coming in. I like that.
I do. Thank you, Sight Queen, for the raid. We've had a good number of raids.
I know, just beautiful people in chat. I haven't even been looking at chat because I've just been staring into your beautiful eyes this entire time.
I generally, we tell everyone to at me if they've got any questions. Jigs has atted me, but I'll read it actually because it is relevant to both of us.
Go for it. Yes.
It says, thank you for help. He said to me, thank you for helping me to find my voice and even the space to find that voice. I really appreciate it. It's changed my life, and it's begun to give me a deeper peace about where I am in life, and I'm actually starting to feel fulfillment again, like JD said, about knowing his purpose. I feel like I'm starting to feel like I'm finding maybe the area I belong and can be purposeful in my life. The legendary Jigs is doing awesome stuff in the mental health space as well. He does a mental health chat on Saturday nights.
Love it.
And it's a really nice free-form conversation. I believe ours went for 5.5 hours. But
I love it.
And actually that was when someone said at the beginning of the stream that just before you came on, that he's got the most buttery smooth vocals ever, and I was like, oh, you've not heard JD yet. You're both on par, it's like it's a tough one. I like it. You like trying to choose my favorite child.
Can I be very honest with you though? You know how silly this is. I hate my voice. I hate the sound of my voice. It drives me bonkers. And yet everybody tells me it's great. So just understand, you can't always listen to your own thought. We lie to ourselves. Have you ever been in love with somebody that was a horrible person and you shouldn't have been with? Your heart lies to you. You know what I mean? You lie to yourself, and it's not intentional. We do. So like, just know that like, if you think my voice is great, I hate it. So what about you is incredible that you think isn't great? You know what I mean? I know it's good, but I don't really like it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it's good because enough people have told me, no, I love your voice. It makes me, it gives me a little bit of, you know, an e-peen chubby. And I'm like, well, okay, great. I'm glad that it does that. I'm glad that I can make you happy like that. But I can't stand it. It annoys me most of the time. I hear my recorded voice and I'm like, oh my God. I feel like Fran Drescher. I'm like, oh, Mr. Sheffield. It's just bad. So know that there are things about you, probably many things about you. And I'm not just talking to Dave. I'm talking to everybody. But certainly I'm talking to you, Dave. There's things about you that you think aren't great that are amazing. So just man, please love yourselves. Please love yourselves enough. Understand that the fact that you're here, the fact that you made it through 2020 means that you'll make it through anything if you choose to. Okay. If you choose to. We made it through 2020. That's all I have to say. You're still standing after that? Come on now. You can do anything. You can climb a mountain. Like, go through the door. Like, be the freaking Kool-Aid guy. Come through the wall, man. You lived through. You lived through 2020. Like, I feel like that should be a rite of passage. I'm telling you, if you've made it this far, what can stop you except for you?
Yeah. And one other thing as well, just for everyone in chat who's listening. If you think, well, that's fine, you lot are just saying that. What I want to ask you one question, because it's our job to be up here and say that, but it's not. It's actually our calling. We don't do it because of a job. We do it because we know it's the right thing to do. But here's the thing: if you were to have seen the script for 2020 to now, on January the 1st, 2020 last year, and you'd have seen how it was going to go, would you, I'm going to look right into the camera now, would you honestly, having seen that script, have thought, yeah, I can make it through that? Or would you have looked at that and said, how the hell am I going to make it through all of that? And here's the thing, you made it through all of that one day at a time. But when we see everything that's laid out in front of us like that, when we tell ourselves it's always going to be like this, things can never get any better, this is my life or anything like that, our brain tricks us into thinking you have to handle every single minute of that in one go. You read that script, your brain says you need to handle that today. You didn't. You handled it on January the 1st, right the way up to December the 31st, and then you carried on. And you'll be able to do it tomorrow, and the next day, and every other day for the rest of your life. You will be able to do it because you don't have to handle it all at once.
That's right.
And you have already proven to yourself, not to any of us, this isn't us standing up here and saying that you're capable. You have proven to yourself what you are capable of. And I think that's friggin' beautiful.
I think you're freaking beautiful. I love you, buddy. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is it's always good to get to talk to somebody who has such an incredible heart. So thank you.
Thank you too. And also, I apologize for keeping you a little bit over. Your stream started 15 minutes
ago. Don't worry about it. They'll be fine. I'm hosting you. They'll join. I'm not always necessarily completely on time at 10 a.m., so it's fine. Listen, if you stream, tech issues happen. But dude, thank you so much. And your community is just beautiful and amazing. So I love you, bud. And yeah, I'm gonna go do my job and goose the heck out of some folks. So I love you, brother.